The morning sun barely touched the small city, yet the streets were already buzzing with life. Cars honked in the distance, street vendors shouted to sell their goods, and children ran along the sidewalks laughing. But inside one grand house at the edge of the city, silence ruled. The house stood tall, its white walls reflecting the early sunlight. Inside, the room smelled faintly of fresh flowers, which had been placed in every corner for the wedding. The house was ready to celebrate, yet a storm quietly brewed beneath the surface. Rohit paced nervously in the hallway. His heart was pounding so loudly he feared his father might hear it. He had tried to warn his father, the head of the family, about something very serious. But every time he tried, words seemed to fail him. He clenched his fists and took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. The house was quiet, almost too quiet. It felt like the calm before a storm. His father, Mr. Arjun Sharma, was in his study. A tall man with a strong frame, his hair slightly graying, he had always been a figure of respect in the city. People admired him for his wisdom and power, and his decisions always carried weight. Today, he was dressed in a crisp white kurta, preparing for the wedding of his only son's sister. Everything seemed perfect. Yet Rohit knew it was not. There was a truth hidden behind the smiles, flowers, and decorations, something that could shatter the family completely. Rohit stopped in front of the study door. He could hear his father speaking to the wedding planner about the final arrangements. Every word was sharp, confident, and calm. But Rohit felt panic rising inside him. He knew he had only one chance to speak before it was too late. "Father, can I talk to you?" Rohit's voice trembled slightly. Mr. Sharma looked up, a small frown forming on his forehead. "Rohit? Why do you look so worried, son? Isn't everything ready?" "The house is prepared, the guests will arrive soon." Rohit swallowed hard. "Father, it's about the bride." The words hung in the air like a sudden cold wind. Mr. Sharma's expression stiffened, but he motioned for Rohit to sit. "What about her?" he asked calmly, though Rohit could see the flicker of curiosity in his father's eyes. Rohit's mind raced. He had spent weeks trying to understand what he had discovered about the bride. At first, he had ignored it himself, thinking he might be overreacting. But the truth kept coming back, louder and louder, until he could no longer ignore it. He took a deep breath. "Father, I know you want this wedding to be perfect. But there's something you don't know, something about her past. I think it's dangerous for the family." Mr. Sharma leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. "Rohit, we have spoken about this. She comes from a good family. Her parents are respected people. We have known them for years. What danger could there be?" Rohit's hands shook. "I didn't want to believe it either. I thought maybe it was just rumors. But I found out. That she isn't who she says she is. There are things she's hiding, Father. Things that could ruin everything." Mr. Sharma's eyes narrowed. "Rohit, are you speaking like a worried son, or are you trying to create unnecessary fear?" Rohit's heart sank. He had expected resistance, but not this calm dismissal. He knew he had to push harder. "I am serious, Father. I tried to ignore it at first, but the truth is too big. She lied about her life. About her family. I don't know what she plans, but I know she can hurt us. Please, listen to me before it's too late." The study fell silent. Outside, the sounds of the city continued, but inside, time seemed to stop. Mr. Sharma stared at his son, his face unreadable. He had always trusted Rohit, but he had also trusted his judgment. Weddings were meant to unite families, to bring happiness. Could the girl they were about to welcome into the family really be dangerous? Rohit took another step closer. His voice was firmer now, though his hands still trembled. "Father, I saw it. I know it sounds impossible, but I saw her meet someone last night. Someone who was not ordinary. They were planning something. I don't know exactly what, but I know it's bad. If the wedding happens today, we could all be in danger." Mr. Sharma's eyes widened slightly. He had always known Rohit to be sensible, not easily frightened. And yet, his son looked terrified. For a moment, doubt crept into his mind. Could it be true? Could everything they had prepared for, everything they had planned, be in danger because of one secret hidden in the bride's past? Rohit, calm down. Are you saying this girl, this bride, is dangerous? Mr. Sharma asked carefully. Yes. Father. I know it sounds crazy, but I cannot explain everything now. You have to trust me. If the wedding happens, it could destroy everything. I don't know if we will get another chance to stop it. Mr. Sharma stood up, walking slowly around his study. His mind was racing. He thought of his daughter, the joy she had shown in choosing this bride. He thought of the guests, the flowers, the preparations. And yet, he could not ignore Rohit's fear. Something in his son's eyes, the way he spoke, told him this was not a lie, not a childish exaggeration. All right, show me, Mr. Sharma finally said, his voice firm. Show me what you found. But if this is just your imagination, we will need to discuss this calmly. No rash actions. Rohit nodded, relief flooding him. He pulled out his phone and opened a folder of messages, photos, and videos he had collected over the past week. I have everything here, Father. Look at this. Mr. Sharma leaned over, scanning the screen. His eyebrows knitted together as he saw the images of the bride meeting unknown people late at night, whispering in secret, and hiding things from everyone. The evidence was subtle but undeniable. This is concerning, Mr. Sharma admitted quietly. But why? Why would she do this? What could she want? Rohit shook his head. I don't know yet. But I promise you, Father, it's not safe to continue without knowing the truth. Something about her, something she's hiding, could ruin everything. Please, trust me on this. Let me find out before the wedding starts. Mr. Sharma ran a hand over his face, torn between doubt and fear. His heart wanted to protect his family, but his mind wanted evidence. Very well. I will trust you, Rohit. But be careful. If you are wrong, it could hurt the family even more. Rohit nodded. I will be careful, Father. I promise. As he left the study, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had only a few hours before the wedding would begin. Every step he took in the decorated halls of the house reminded him of what was at stake. Guests would arrive soon, the ceremony would begin, and if he did not uncover the truth in time, everything could be lost. Rohit went to his room and began preparing for the task ahead. He reviewed the evidence, memorized every detail, and made a plan. He would need to confront the bride subtly, find out what she was hiding, and do it before anyone suspected. But he knew it would not be easy. She was smart, careful, and charming. No one suspected a thing. And yet, Rohit could sense it, something dark, something dangerous, lurking behind her smile. Hours passed like minutes. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the house. The smell of fresh flowers mixed with the faint aroma of incense as the wedding preparations continued. Outside, vehicles carrying guests began to arrive, and laughter echoed through the halls. But inside, Rohit's mind raced, plotting every possible move. He had to act quickly. One wrong step could ruin everything. And yet, he could not wait. The warning had to be delivered, the truth uncovered, and his family protected. As he stepped out of his room, he glanced at the grand hall where the wedding would take place. The chairs were lined in perfect rows, the flowers were arranged meticulously, and the lights hung from the ceiling like stars. Everything was ready for celebration, yet Rohit could see the danger hiding in plain sight. He took a deep breath. The time for fear was over. Now was the time for action. Rohit knew that whatever happened next could change his life and his family's life forever. And somewhere deep inside, he felt a shiver of fear. He had warned his father, yes, but would it be enough? Would the truth be revealed in time? The wedding day had begun, but for Rohit, it was only the beginning of a fight that could either save or destroy everything he loved. The sun had climbed higher in the sky, casting a warm glow across the city. The house, once quiet in the early morning, now buzzed with energy. Flowers swayed gently in the breeze coming through open windows, and the smell of incense mixed with freshly baked sweets. Guests were arriving, their voices filled with excitement and laughter. Everything looked perfect, every detail carefully planned. But Rohit felt nothing but tension. He moved through the halls silently, his mind racing. His father had listened to him, but only partially. Mr. Sharma had allowed Rohit to investigate, but he had also warned him to be careful, to avoid raising suspicion. Rohit knew the bride's charm was dangerous. One wrong move, one careless word, and she could ruin everything. Her secret was powerful enough to destroy the family's reputation, even their lives. Rohit stepped into the garden, where the bride, Anika, was laughing with her friends. She was beautiful, with a bright smile that seemed to light up the entire area. Everyone adored her. Yet Rohit saw a flicker behind her eyes, something subtle but unmistakable. A shadow. Something she did not want anyone to see. He had spent the past few days quietly observing her, following her without being noticed. And what he discovered was enough to make his blood run cold. Last night, under the cover of darkness, he had seen her meet a man in a secluded alley. The man wore dark clothes, and his face was hidden by a hood. They spoke in low voices, their hands moving rapidly as if exchanging something important. Rohit had hidden behind a wall, heart pounding, trying to capture everything on his phone. He had barely escaped without being seen. He opened his phone and reviewed the footage again. There was no doubt now. Anika was not who she claimed to be. The man she had met. Rohit didn't know his identity yet, but there was something dangerous about him. Their conversation was full of coded words, like a secret plan only they understood. Rohit's mind raced. He could not confront her directly in front of the guests. Not yet. He needed proof, something undeniable. Something that would force his father to act. He walked quietly through the back corridors, approaching the bride's room. The door was slightly open, and he could hear soft laughter inside. She was talking on the phone, her voice low and secretive. "Yes, everything is ready," she whispered. "They have no idea. The day is perfect, no one suspects a thing. Tonight, everything will change." Rohit's heart stopped. He had heard enough. Her words confirmed his worst fears. She was planning something that could ruin the wedding, and perhaps more. He pressed himself against the wall, trying to remain unseen, listening to every word. "She trusts me completely," Anika continued, "and no one will ever know. By tomorrow, everything will be mine, everything." Rohit felt a chill run down his spine. The words were vague but full of threat. What did she mean by everything? Could it be a personal vendetta, a financial scheme, or something even darker? He needed more evidence. He decided to follow her later that evening when the house would be quieter. But time was slipping away. The wedding preparations were nearly complete. Guests were arriving in droves, laughing, sharing gifts, and taking photos. If he did not act soon, the moment of revelation might pass, and he could lose the chance forever. Rohit returned to his father's study. Mr. Sharma was reviewing guest lists, calm and composed, unaware of the danger lurking just a few rooms away. Rohit tried to keep his expression neutral. "Father," he said quietly, "I need more time. I need to follow her today, after the ceremonies start. I can't let her notice me. If she suspects anything, we may lose the truth forever." Mr. Sharma looked up, his eyes serious. "Rohit, you've already warned me. I trust you, but be careful. This is not just about our family reputation anymore. You're talking about someone dangerous. Do not take unnecessary risks." Rohit nodded, determination flashing in his eyes. "I won't. I promise." As the afternoon passed, Rohit kept a close eye on Anika from a distance. She smiled and laughed with everyone, perfectly polite, completely charming. No one would ever guess the darkness behind that smile. But Rohit saw it. And he knew it. Finally, the evening arrived. Guests were seated, the house glittered with lights, and music filled the air. Rohit saw his chance. The bride had slipped out, supposedly to change her dress. He followed her quietly, sticking to the shadows. The garden led to a narrow path behind the house, where a small gate opened into the street. Anika walked confidently, unaware that Rohit was following her. The city's noises faded behind the walls, replaced by the quiet whisper of leaves and the occasional distant car. She stopped at a small cafe tucked away from the main road. The door opened, and Rohit slipped inside after her. The place was almost empty, dimly lit, and quiet. And there she was, sitting at a corner table, waiting for the same man he had seen before. Rohit's pulse raced. He kept himself hidden, pressing against the wall as he watched. The man arrived, hooded and cautious. He sat across from her, and they spoke in whispers. Rohit could barely hear, but the tone of their voices was enough. They were planning something. Anika handed the man an envelope, and he nodded, sliding it into his coat. Then she did something that made Rohit's stomach twist. She reached for a small device, something that looked like a USB, and whispered into it. He couldn't hear the words, but he could see the intent. Plans. Schemes. Secrets. Rohit knew he had to act fast. He took out his phone and started recording everything. Every gesture, every word, every subtle move was captured. This was the evidence he needed, not just to warn his father, but to stop her before it was too late. Suddenly, the man looked up, scanning the cafe. His eyes seemed to pierce through the shadows. Rohit froze, his heart thudding in his chest. Had he been noticed? But after a tense moment, the man relaxed, and they continued speaking. Rohit exhaled slowly. The meeting ended, and the man left quickly, disappearing into the night. Anika stayed for a moment, staring at the table, and then slipped out of the cafe. Rohit followed at a safe distance, making sure to stay unnoticed. He had the proof now. Back at the house, he reviewed the footage. Every detail was clear. There was no denying it now. The bride was hiding a dangerous secret, one that could affect not only the wedding but the entire family. His hands trembled as he realized the gravity of the situation. He rushed to his father's study, urgency in every step. "Father. I have it," he said, breathless. "I recorded everything. She is not what she says. She is planning something, and we cannot let this wedding happen without knowing the truth." Mr. Sharma's eyes widened as Rohit showed him the footage. His face paled as he saw the bride's secret meetings, the envelope exchange, and the strange device. For the first time, Mr. Sharma felt fear, real fear, for the family he had always protected. "Rohit, this changes everything," he said quietly. "We cannot allow this wedding to happen. Not without understanding what she is planning." You were right to warn me." Rohit nodded, relief mixing with anxiety. "We need to act now, father. Before it's too late. She could ruin everything in a moment. We cannot wait." Mr. Sharma ran his hand through his hair, thinking fast. "We will confront her, but carefully. She is clever, and she will try to hide the truth. We must be smart. We cannot let anyone else notice until we know the full story." The house seemed to hold its breath as the father and son prepared for the confrontation. Outside, the wedding music played, the guests laughed, and the lights shone bright. Everything seemed normal. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. And Rohit knew that soon, the truth would come out, shaking the family to its very core. As the evening deepened, Rohit and his father planned their next steps, unaware that Anika sensed something had changed. Her smile was still perfect, but her eyes flickered with something else, suspicion, maybe fear. The game had begun, and the clock was ticking. Rohit realized one thing clearly: uncovering the secret was only the first step. Confronting it, surviving it, and protecting his family would be the real challenge. And he was ready to face it, no matter the cost. The night had arrived, the wedding lights glittered, and the guests remained blissfully unaware. But for Rohit, the danger was real, and the truth was finally coming to light. The bride's secret was out, but what would happen next? The house was alive with music, laughter, and chatter. Guests moved from room to room, their excitement palpable. The wedding was only hours away, and everything appeared perfect. Flowers glowed in the soft lights, chairs were lined in perfect rows, and the aroma of delicious food filled the air. Every detail screamed celebration. But for Rohit, every sound was a reminder of the storm hiding behind the smiles. He paced silently in the study, his phone in hand. The footage from the cafe was clear, undeniable. The bride, Anika, had secret meetings. She had plans. But the problem now was much bigger than just proving her secret. He had to convince his father to act without causing a scene, without alarming the guests, without risking the family's reputation. Mr. Sharma sat quietly, studying the footage again. His face was stern, but worry lines ran deep across his forehead. "Rohit," he said slowly, "I understand now. You were right. She is not what she seems. But, what do we do next? If we confront her openly, we risk scandal. If we do nothing, we risk disaster." Rohit swallowed hard. "We need to find out what she is planning, father. We cannot stop her blindly. We must catch her in the act, or she will manipulate everything and everyone." Mr. Sharma nodded, a heavy weight settling in his chest. "Very well. But be careful. You are young, and she is clever. One wrong move, and we could be exposed. Or worse." His voice trailed off, but the unspoken fear hung in the room like smoke. Rohit felt a cold chill run down his spine. He knew exactly what his father meant. Anika's charm, her confidence, her hidden motives, they were dangerous. The girl everyone loved could be the one to destroy them all if not stopped. Hours passed, and the wedding preparations moved forward, oblivious to the looming threat. Rohit followed Anika quietly, his eyes sharp, noting every gesture, every whisper. She laughed with guests, helped her friends adjust their dresses, smiled at his sister, and yet he could see the subtle movements, the glance at her phone, the quick scan of the room as if checking for someone, the hidden messages she sent with small gestures. It was like watching a game of chess in real life. Anika was the player, and Rohit knew that one wrong move could cost everything. Finally, after the rehearsal dinner, Anika slipped away under the pretense of checking something in her room. Rohit followed, careful to remain unseen. She moved with purpose, confident, her heels clicking softly on the polished floor. He kept a safe distance, heart pounding, knowing that every second counted. She entered a small room near the back, one that no guests would notice. Rohit peeked from the doorway. Inside, Anika pulled out her phone and began typing rapidly. Her face was calm, almost serene, but there was a fire in her eyes, a determination that sent a wave of fear through Rohit. Suddenly, her phone rang. She answered without hesitation. "Yes," she said softly, her voice low. "Everything is ready. They suspect nothing. The plan is in motion. By tomorrow, everything will belong to me." Rohit's stomach twisted. The words confirmed his worst fears. She wasn't just hiding secrets, she was plotting. But what exactly? And who was involved? The mystery grew, and so did the urgency. He needed to act, but carefully. If she noticed him, she could turn the situation around, and he would have no way to warn his father. He had to find a way to gather more information without revealing his presence. He remembered the envelope she had given to the man at the cafe. It could contain answers. But how could he access it without being caught? His mind raced. Every option seemed risky. Every step could trigger disaster. As if reading his thoughts, his phone buzzed. A message from his friend, Samir, appeared. "Are you ready for tonight? Heard something strange about the bride. Call me ASAP." Rohit's heart leapt. Samir had been keeping an eye from the outside, a safe distance. Perhaps he could help. He typed quickly, "Yes. Meet me at the back gate in 10 minutes. It's urgent." The next 10 minutes felt like an eternity. Rohit stayed hidden, watching Anika move in and out of rooms, checking her phone, sending messages. Her movements were deliberate, calculated. She was no ordinary bride. Finally, Samir arrived, quietly slipping into the shadows beside Rohit. "What did you find?" he whispered. Rohit handed him the phone. "Everything. Watch carefully. She is planning something dangerous. We need proof, something undeniable. I can't confront her alone." Samir's eyes widened as he saw the footage. "You're right. This is serious. We need a plan. But be careful. If she notices us, we're done." Rohit nodded, tension rising. "I know. But we don't have time. She moves fast. And the wedding, it starts soon." They devised a plan. Samir would distract Anika subtly while Rohit searched for the envelope, the device, anything that could give them the answers they needed. Timing had to be perfect. One mistake, and everything could collapse. As the evening shadows deepened, Anika made her way to the back room again. Samir followed her, pretending to adjust a decoration nearby, keeping her distracted with small talk. She laughed lightly, unaware of the danger creeping silently around her. Rohit slipped through the doorway, heart pounding, eyes scanning the room. There, on a small table near the corner, lay the envelope and the strange device he had seen before. He approached cautiously, every muscle tense. His hand hovered over the envelope. Just as he was about to pick it up, a soft voice called his name from behind. "Rohit?" He froze. Anika had turned suddenly, her eyes locking onto him. Fear shot through him, but he forced himself to remain calm. I was just looking for something," he stammered. Her smile was quick, charming, and almost cruel. "Oh? And what might that be?" Her tone was soft, but her eyes were sharp, piercing. Rohit's mind raced. He had to act fast. He grabbed the envelope, tucking it under his arm. "Nothing important," he said, trying to sound casual. Anika tilted her head, suspicious. Curious. Well, don't take too long. We wouldn't want the preparations to be disturbed, would we?" Rohit nodded, pretending to adjust a chair as he backed away. His heart hammered. He had the envelope, yes, but she had seen him. And now, she would be watching more closely. As he rejoined Samir, he whispered, "We got it. But she saw me. Now it's a race. She'll be careful, and we have to be faster." Samir nodded, understanding the stakes. "Then let's get the evidence and bring it to your father. Before she can react." They hurried to the study, carefully avoiding the guests and decorations. The envelope contained documents, messages, and photographs, proof of Anika's secret meetings, her plans, and the people involved. The weight of it all pressed heavily on Rohit. Mr. Sharma looked at the evidence, his face pale and his hands trembling. This is worse than I imagined," he whispered. "We cannot let this wedding happen. Not now. Not ever. We must act immediately." Rohit felt a surge of relief mixed with fear. They had the proof, but the confrontation had only just begun. Anika was clever, and she would not give up easily. The family, the guests, the ceremony, all were in danger if she managed to manipulate the situation. "Father, what now?" Rohit asked. Mr. Sharma took a deep breath. "Now, we wait for the right moment. We confront her when everyone is present. Quietly. Calmly. And we expose the truth. No chaos, no scandal. But the truth must come out." Rohit nodded, feeling both fear and determination. The next hours would test them all, his courage, his father's wisdom, and the strength of their family bond. One wrong step, one miscalculation, and everything could be lost. Outside, the wedding lights glimmered, and music played. Guests laughed and chatted, completely unaware of the storm brewing within the walls of the house. But for Rohit and his father, time had become their enemy. Every second counted, every movement was critical, and the tension was unbearable. Rohit knew one thing with certainty: the truth was finally in their hands, but revealing it would be the hardest challenge yet. And the conflict between what should happen and what must happen was only beginning. The night had fully settled over the city, and the wedding house glittered like a jewel. Lights shimmered, music played softly in the background, and laughter floated through the air. Everything seemed calm, perfect, normal. But beneath the cheerful celebration, danger lurked. Rohit's mind raced faster than ever. The envelope and the device he had retrieved were only the beginning. Anika's plans were bigger than anyone had imagined, and time was running out. He had to act, and fast. Rohit glanced at his father, Mr. Sharma, who was pacing in the study, tense and silent. His usually composed face was lined with worry. "Father," Rohit whispered, "we can't wait any longer. We have the proof, yes, but we need to catch her in the act tonight. Otherwise, she may change everything, and we'll lose our chance forever." Mr. Sharma nodded grimly. "You are right. We must be careful, but decisive. The family, the guests, no one can suspect until the truth is revealed. We must act with precision." Rohit swallowed, the weight of responsibility pressing heavily on him. He glanced at the envelope again, knowing that the documents and photographs inside contained everything they needed to expose her, but only if they used them wisely. Suddenly, movement in the hall caught his attention. Anika was leaving the main hall, her expression calm and confident. Her heels clicked softly against the floor, every step deliberate, every glance controlled. She had no idea how close Rohit and his father were to uncovering her secrets. Rohit turned to Samir, who had been waiting nearby to assist. "She's going to the guest rooms. We follow quietly. Watch her, but don't let her notice us." Samir nodded, his eyes scanning every corner. Together, they slipped through the shadows, moving silently. The music and chatter of the wedding provided a perfect cover. Anika's path led them to the garden behind the house, a quiet area lit by soft lanterns. The trees cast long shadows, hiding Rohit and Samir from sight. Anika paused, looking around as if expecting someone. Then she took out her phone, her fingers moving quickly, typing messages with precision. Rohit crouched behind a bush, heart pounding. "She's planning something tonight," he whispered to Samir. "I can feel it. She's communicating with someone, setting things in motion. We must follow her wherever she goes." The two boys stayed in the shadows as Anika moved toward the small back gate that led to the street. She paused, glanced over her shoulder, and then slipped out into the night. Rohit followed, careful to remain unseen. Samir stayed close, moving like a shadow beside him. The streets were quiet, almost empty. Streetlights cast pools of light on the pavement, and the soft hum of distant cars filled the silence. Anika walked with purpose, confident in her plan, unaware of the two eyes tracking her every move. Finally, she reached a secluded alley, just as Rohit had seen before. A figure emerged from the darkness, the same hooded man he had witnessed at the cafe. Their meeting was quiet but intense. Words were whispered, hands gestured, and something was exchanged, a small, mysterious device, carefully passed between them. Rohit's stomach tightened. This was the moment he had been waiting for. He pulled out his phone, recording everything. Every gesture, every exchange, every whispered word was evidence. He needed it all, proof that could finally reveal the truth. Suddenly, the man looked up, scanning the alley. His eyes seemed to pierce the darkness, sharp and threatening. Rohit froze, barely breathing. He pressed himself against the wall, hoping to remain unseen. The tension was unbearable. One wrong move, one sound, and everything could collapse. After what felt like an eternity, the man relaxed and continued speaking in low tones with Anika. Rohit strained to listen, catching fragments. "Tonight, everything changes, must be perfect, they cannot suspect." Rohit's heart raced. This confirmed everything. Anika's plan was not just personal, it was deliberate, dangerous, and calculated. The wedding was part of her scheme, and the family was at risk. He backed away silently, motioning Samir to follow. They needed to get back to the house without being noticed. But as they turned the corner, a shadow shifted ahead. Anika had stopped, staring into the dark alley. Her instincts were sharp. She sensed something. Rohit froze. Samir whispered, "Don't move. She's looking this way." Anika tilted her head, a faint smile crossing her lips. "I could have sworn someone was there," she murmured, then laughed softly, brushing it off. "No matter. Nothing can go wrong tonight." Rohit exhaled slowly, tension easing slightly. But he knew this was only temporary. She would be more cautious now, more alert. The chase had begun in earnest, and they had to act quickly. Back at the house, Rohit and Samir slipped inside, moving silently through the halls. They needed a plan, something that would reveal Anika's intentions without alarming the guests. Every second counted. Rohit spread the envelope and the mysterious device on the study table. He went through the documents carefully, coded messages, photographs, notes about secret meetings, instructions, everything that proved Anika's dangerous plot. Samir looked over his shoulder, eyes wide with shock. This is huge," Samir whispered. "She's been planning this for months, maybe years. And the wedding was the perfect cover." Rohit nodded. "Exactly. And if we don't act tonight, she could succeed. We need to show this to my father and confront her at the right moment. But we must be smart. She is clever, and she will try to hide the truth." Mr. Sharma entered the room, his face serious. "Show me everything," he said quietly. Rohit handed him the envelope and the device. His father's eyes widened as he absorbed the evidence. "This is worse than I thought," Mr. Sharma muttered. "We cannot let this wedding proceed. Not now. Not ever. But we have to be careful. If we act rashly, we risk scandal. We must confront her in a way that protects the family while revealing the truth." Rohit felt a surge of determination. "Then we wait for the right moment. We expose her in front of everyone, calmly, without creating chaos. The evidence will speak for itself." Mr. Sharma nodded. "Good. But we have to anticipate her moves. She is clever, and she will try to escape or manipulate the situation. Be ready." As the evening deepened, the family and guests remained oblivious to the danger that hovered over them. Rohit felt the weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders. Every second was precious. Every movement mattered. The chase was far from over. Suddenly, a sound from the garden caught Rohit's attention. Footsteps. Soft, deliberate, confident. He peeked through the window. Anika was moving again, heading toward the house in a direction Rohit hadn't expected. She was clearly following her plan, and the chase had become urgent. Rohit and Samir exchanged a glance. This was it, the critical moment. If they didn't act fast, she could reach her goal and leave them with nothing. They grabbed the envelope and device and quietly followed her, staying in the shadows. The tension was unbearable. Every step, every whisper, every glance mattered. The chase was on, and the outcome could change the family's life forever. Rohit realized one thing clearly: this night would not end with a simple confrontation. It would be a battle of wits, courage, and timing. And the stakes were higher than anything he had ever faced. The night had grown darker, but the house glowed with the soft lights of celebration. Music floated through the air, guests laughed, and the smell of food and flowers mingled. Everything appeared joyful, perfect, and calm. But behind the smiles and laughter, a storm was about to break, one that would reveal secrets no one had expected. Rohit crouched in the shadows, the envelope and the device clutched tightly in his hands. Samir was beside him, eyes wide, waiting for the right moment. Mr. Sharma had gone to position himself strategically, ready to act at a moment's notice. The plan was clear: expose Anika's secret, reveal the truth, protect the family. But executing it without causing chaos was a challenge that weighed heavily on Rohit. Anika moved through the house, completely unaware of the trap closing in around her. Her smile was bright, her charm perfect. She laughed with the guests, checked on the flowers, and adjusted decorations. But Rohit could see the flicker of calculation in her eyes, the subtle movements that revealed her careful planning, her secret agenda. Rohit whispered to Samir, "This is it. We need to act now, before she slips away again." Everything depends on timing. Samir nodded, his hands trembling slightly. The two moved quietly toward the main hall, where the final gathering of guests was taking place. The lights reflected off the polished floors, the music played softly, and everyone seemed oblivious to the danger that had been stalking them for hours. Rohit's heart pounded. The envelope contained everything: evidence of Anika's secret meetings, photographs, messages, and instructions that proved she had been planning something dangerous for months. The device held encrypted information, potentially the key to understanding her full plan. If they revealed this correctly, there would be no question left. Anika entered the hall, smiling at the guests. She was radiant, charming, every bit the bride everyone expected her to be. But Rohit could feel the tension in the air, the moment before revelation. He motioned to Samir, who suddenly began to distract a few guests, drawing attention away from their movements. Rohit took a deep breath and approached Anika, his eyes fixed on hers. She turned toward him, her smile faltering slightly, sensing something was different. "Rohit," she asked, her voice calm but cautious. "Why do you look so serious?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he held up the envelope. "This is why, Anika," he said quietly but firmly. "I need everyone to see the truth." Her smile disappeared. The air in the room seemed to freeze for a moment. Guests noticed the sudden change in atmosphere, murmuring to each other. Rohit opened the envelope carefully, revealing the photographs, messages, and documents. Gasps filled the room. Anika's eyes widened, but she quickly composed herself. "Rohit, what is this?" she asked, trying to mask panic with calm. Rohit stepped forward, holding the device as well. "This proves everything. The secret meetings, the messages, the plans you've been hiding. We cannot ignore this. We need to know what you intended to do with our family, with this wedding." A hush fell over the hall. Guests stared, some shocked, some confused. Anika's charm seemed to falter for the first time. She looked around, realizing her carefully hidden secrets were now exposed. Mr. Sharma stepped forward, his expression a mix of anger and disappointment. "Anika," he said firmly, "we welcomed you into our family in good faith. But this is betrayal. We trusted you, and you have been planning something behind our backs. Explain yourself. Now." Anika's calm mask cracked. Her eyes flashed with defiance, then fear. "You don't understand," she said quickly. "It's not what it looks like. I was only trying to protect myself, my family." Rohit shook his head, his voice steady but full of emotion. "We know the truth. The meetings, the messages, the device, they show your plan. It wasn't protection. It was deception, manipulation, and secrecy. You risked everyone's safety for your own gain." The room remained silent, every eye on Anika. The tension was palpable. She looked around, realizing that every guest was witnessing her exposure. Her face paled, her confidence faltering. Finally, she spoke, voice trembling. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I thought I could manage it. I thought no one would find out." Mr. Sharma's face softened slightly, but his voice remained firm. "Intentions don't erase the risk. You have endangered our family, our trust, and this wedding. Rohit tried to warn me. We gave you the benefit of doubt. But the truth has now come out." Rohit felt a mix of relief and sadness. Relief that the secret was finally revealed, that his father now understood the danger. Sadness because someone they had welcomed with open hearts had chosen deception. But there was no time to dwell on emotion, the situation demanded clarity and resolution. He turned to the guests. "Everyone here deserves to know the truth," he said. "We cannot proceed with this wedding. The decisions must be made carefully, but right now, the safety and trust of our family come first." Gasps and whispers spread through the room. Some guests looked shocked, others confused, and a few glanced at Anika with suspicion. The carefully constructed image of a perfect bride had collapsed in front of their eyes. Anika's face showed panic now. "You can't do this," she cried. I've done nothing wrong." Rohit stepped closer, holding the envelope and device firmly. The evidence says otherwise. We know the truth, and we cannot ignore it. This wedding cannot continue under these circumstances. Mr. Sharma nodded. It is done. The wedding stops. Until we understand the full situation, we cannot risk anyone's safety. This is not about punishment, it's about protection and honesty. Anika's composure broke completely. She realized the extent of the exposure, the loss of control, and the impossibility of manipulating the situation now. Tears welled up in her eyes, but they could not undo the consequences. Rohit's heart raced, but he felt a sense of justice. The storm had reached its peak, and the truth had finally emerged. The family was safe, the deception uncovered, and the lies laid bare. The guests slowly absorbed the situation. Murmurs turned into understanding. People looked at Rohit and Mr. Sharma with respect, realizing the courage it took to reveal the truth amidst such tension. Rohit glanced at his father. Mr. Sharma's eyes were proud yet weary. You did the right thing, Rohit, he said quietly. It wasn't easy, but the truth matters more than appearances. You protected the family. Rohit nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility lift slightly. The confrontation was over, the conflict resolved, and the family could now move forward with honesty, trust, and clarity. Anika was escorted away from the guests, the deception fully exposed. She had no choice but to face the consequences of her actions. And as Rohit looked around the hall, he realized something important: courage, truth, and family bonds were stronger than charm, deception, and manipulation. The night continued, but with a different energy. The celebration was no longer about a wedding, it was about survival, truth, and the strength of honesty. Rohit knew the journey was not entirely over, but the critical battle had been won. The storm had broken, the truth had been revealed, and the family was safe for now. The night had settled into quiet after the storm. The house, once alive with music and laughter, now felt heavy with the weight of revelation. Guests were still present, but their voices were softer, filled with curiosity, confusion, and whispers. What had been meant to be a joyous wedding was now a night marked by truth, confrontation, and consequences. Rohit stood near the main hall, watching the reactions of the guests. Some looked shocked, others relieved that the potential danger had been exposed. The tension that had gripped the house all day slowly began to ease, replaced by a cautious calm. For Rohit, however, the adrenaline was still high. His body felt tense, his heart still racing from the confrontation, but deep down, he knew that justice had been served. His father, Mr. Sharma, approached him quietly. His expression was a mix of pride and weariness. Rohit, he said softly, placing a hand on his son's shoulder, tonight, you showed courage. You trusted your instincts, and you protected our family. That is something no one can take away from you. Rohit nodded, a lump forming in his throat. He had acted not out of bravado but out of love, for his family, for the truth, for the safety of everyone around him. Thank you, father, he said, his voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside him. I couldn't let anyone be hurt. I had to act. Mr. Sharma smiled faintly. And you did. Sometimes doing the right thing comes with fear, with uncertainty, with risk. But you faced it. That is what makes a person strong. Rohit felt a wave of relief. The confrontation had been the hardest part, but now, he could finally breathe. The family was safe, the bride's deception exposed, and the truth had triumphed over manipulation. Meanwhile, the guests slowly began to leave, their murmurs reflecting shock, curiosity, and newfound respect for the family. Many of them had sensed something unusual about the day, a tension they couldn't explain. Now, the pieces fell into place. The family had handled the situation with dignity, courage, and intelligence. Rohit walked through the house, taking in the quiet spaces, the decorated halls, the floral arrangements, the rooms now empty of chaos. It all seemed surreal. Hours ago, the house had been alive with anticipation, joy, and celebration. Now, it was filled with relief, reflection, and a sense of restored order. He paused near the study, glancing at the envelope and the device that had started it all. They were evidence of deception, yes, but they were also a reminder of what could happen when truth was ignored. Rohit carefully placed them in a drawer, feeling a sense of closure. The danger was over, the secret revealed, and the family could finally move forward. His sister, whose wedding had been almost overshadowed by the revelation, approached him. Her eyes were filled with gratitude and emotion. "Rohit," she said softly, "thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't acted. You saved everyone." Rohit smiled faintly, feeling warmth in his chest. "I just did what I had to. Family comes first." As they spoke, Mr. Sharma joined them. "Tonight has taught us all something important," he said. "Trust is valuable, but vigilance is necessary. Love and care must be balanced with awareness. And courage will always guide us when fear tries to take control." Rohit nodded, absorbing the wisdom in his father's words. The night had been hard, frightening, and emotionally intense, but it had also been a lesson. The family had survived deception and manipulation, emerging stronger and more united than before. In the following days, the house slowly returned to normal. Guests visited, not for celebration, but to express support, curiosity, and relief. The family shared quiet moments, rebuilding trust and reflecting on the events. Rohit found himself thinking about the journey, the fear, the chase, the confrontation, and the eventual revelation. It had been exhausting, terrifying, but ultimately rewarding. He realized that courage was not about acting without fear. It was about acting despite fear. It was about standing for what was right, even when the outcome was uncertain. He had learned this lesson through experience, and it had strengthened him in ways he could not yet fully understand. One evening, as Rohit sat quietly in the garden, he thought about Anika. She had been clever, cunning, and dangerous, but she had underestimated the power of truth and family. She had tried to manipulate, deceive, and control, but ultimately, honesty and vigilance had prevailed. Rohit felt a sense of justice and closure. His father joined him, standing silently for a moment before speaking. "Rohit, you have grown tonight," Mr. Sharma said quietly. "Not just in courage, but in wisdom. You have faced a challenge that many would avoid, and you have succeeded. Never forget this lesson. Always trust yourself, but also trust those who love you." Rohit nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride and gratitude. The storm had passed, but the lessons remained. Courage, truth, vigilance, and love, these were the pillars that had carried them through the night. As the family gathered for a quiet dinner, the conversation was light, filled with reflection and laughter slowly returning. The tension that had gripped the house was gone, replaced by a sense of relief, safety, and unity. Rohit felt the emotional weight lift, replaced by a quiet satisfaction. The danger was over, the secret revealed, and the family stronger than ever. That night, as Rohit looked out at the city lights, he realized something profound. Life was full of unexpected challenges, deception, and uncertainty. But with courage, vigilance, and the willingness to act, even the darkest secrets could be uncovered, and justice could prevail. He smiled faintly, feeling a deep sense of peace. The wedding may not have happened as planned, but the family was safe. The truth had won, and they were stronger because of it. Rohit knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them with courage, love, and unwavering determination. The night was calm now, filled with quiet reflection and the soft sounds of the city. The storm had passed, and the family could finally breathe, united and resilient. And for Rohit, that was the greatest victory of all, a victory not just over deception, but over fear itself. The envelope and device had served their purpose, but the real lesson was clear: truth, courage, and family could overcome even the darkest of plans. And in that knowledge, Rohit found hope, strength, and the promise of a future where honesty and vigilance would always guide the way. The house was silent, but within it, hearts were full. The family had faced the storm, revealed the truth, and emerged stronger. And in that quiet, Rohit realized that the greatest power of all was not in deception, manipulation, or charm, it was in courage, love, and the unwavering pursuit of truth. The night ended with a sense of closure, reflection, and emotional resolution. The storm had passed, the conflict was resolved, and the family could finally move forward stronger, wiser, and united. Rohit knew that the lessons of the night would stay with him forever, guiding him through every challenge yet to come.